Hi everybody, welcome. I am very excited. My name is Maizray, and I am on a quest to become a better GM, a better player, and a better person. Kind of new to tabletops, very passionate about it. And today I get to talk to Dennis, Okayest DM, which is a huge misnomer. But I get to speak with Dennis today, and we're going to be chatting about character creation in a two-part series, the second part of which is on his channel. So definitely go and check that out about character death. So the entire life cycle of your characters. Yeah, so you should, I'll link his channel and the video down in the description. Definitely check it out. Subscribe if you haven't. And yeah, thanks so much for being here, Dennis.
Yeah, no problem. It is an honor. This is my first collab, so I'm
Me
as excited
too.
as you are.
I'm so jazzed. It's gonna be great. We actually had to pare down the topic because I think we agreed that like it'd be super easy for us to just talk about D&D and games
Just
for
for
like
hours on end.
yeah. So we're trying to be prescriptive about what we're going to talk about to kind of reel ourselves in because there's really no reason to otherwise. Um so as I said, today we're going to be talking about creating a character, and a couple of things you should kind of keep in mind when you are creating a character. So there's three parts we're going to be talking about today. The first part is about creating character for a one shot, how that's different from creating character for a campaign, and finally creating character when the game has existed for a while and you're sort of coming in as a new player or a new character to an existing story. So those are the three parts we're going to cover over character creation. And so to start off with, um one shots. So I actually love one shots. I know some people really only like enjoy them for conventions and that kind of thing, but I really like them for like, you have a finite amount of time, you want to roll some dice, you want to play a game. Like, it's really great, sort of like, the story is gonna resolve in a meaningful way, and you're gonna have some fun with difference. It's typically not like super heavy or anything. Like, it's just gonna be a good time for a couple hours. That being said, uh, there are players who get really invested in their characters and show up to a one shot with a really deep character backstory for their characters. And in a one shot, I'm not sure that that's something that has much chance to be explored. So to that point, like, I think there's a very specific kind of character that can be really effective in a one shot. So Dennis, I'm gonna throw to you right now. Like, what do you feel like is a really good, like, what's a really good character choice, or a couple of character choices that someone can make when they're making and bringing character to a one shot?
I personally have only run so many one shots, like I can count them on one hand. Um, Usually when I do it, I'm not running D&D. Um, but I can definitely say that I agree. Not putting a lot of effort into your character's backstory is how you want to go for that one shot. It's a character that is only going to be played once, for a couple hours, and that is nowhere near enough time to explore, to have a character, develop. You can't go through character changes inside that story. A one shot is typically about the plot itself. It's not necessarily a character sort of heavy story.
That's a great point. Plot versus character. Um, yeah, that's an excellent one. And you only have a couple hours, and I'm actually with you. I really like one shots for systems other than D&D, to try out other systems. And candidly, I don't actually feel like D&D lends itself super well to that kind of short format of play, just because like combat tends to take a minute when you have a larger group. I have a couple of homebrew rules that make it go a little bit faster, but if you're having to hack a system, there's probably other systems you can use. So I am with you. I really like one shots other for other systems. I tend to play in a lot more one shots than I run. Um I but also sort of non D&D systems, generally speaking. Like I feel like
Right.
it's a really good way to get play experience for a system you might not be familiar with. So
Exactly. Some of the easiest ones I find to do one shots with are the ones with the shortest rule sets.
one
So
pagers,
Crash Pandas,
yeah.
Honey Heist,
Hmm.
all of the other. I think it's Grant Hewitt is the author of them.
Yeah. I
Um,
like the lasers and feel like the Oh Dang series. Oh Dang, Bigfoot stole my car with my friends put their present inside. Like the lasers and but yeah, like the short little like buddy cop vibe one shots. Like those are fun and they're light and they're great. And actually what I think works really well, um if you are playing D&D, or if you are playing a game that has more mechanics and a little bit more of a tactical element to it, I actually really like one shots for like creating super cheesy characters. Like really kind of broken, like things your GM will probably say no to in a campaign.
right. Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Yeah, like if you want to like go a little man scientist with the rules, like one shot is the place to do it. And obviously check with your GM. But
Right. There is one thing along those lines that I definitely wanted to mention for one shots. One of my players he goes on these tangents where he just like min maxes like 5 different characters he wants to play like within a month, and I'm like, you don't have time to play these in a campaigns. So my solution was to run like sort of arena style combats in a
oh, that's
one-on-one session
awesome.
with him where he runs the entire party, like all 5 min-max characters he
That's
plays he gets to play as,
so cool.
and I will get to try out monster stat blocks that I've really like look attractive to me, and I
Yeah,
get
I'm like
to
making
play
notes
around with them, see how
as
they
we speak.
feel. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
genius, man. I'm definitely gonna steal that. Inspired
Yes,
by
please do.
Dennis. So yeah, that's a great idea. That's awesome. Yeah, I have two players in my home game that are very like mad scientisty when it comes to the rules, and like they're very respectful of like playing nuanced and thoughtful characters in our campaign, in our home game. But like for one shots, like one of them played an artificer that ended up having basically an Iron Man suit. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, and another one of them played like this rogue that was like was it a path or shadows, I would gloomstalker ranger or something, but basically he had this thing where he would hide in a bag of holding and hold his breath for like 10 seconds or whatever. Someone would toss the bag of holding into a shadowy corner and then he would just emerge. So basically had this like MacGyver teleport.
Yeah. That's all the weird stuff that D&D
Yes,
allows you to do. One shots are the perfect place to just
they
try
really
out
are.
things you've read
Yes.
about or thought of yourself.
Yes. I go completely ham in a one shot. It's so much fun. It's so
Mm.
much fun. Um but yeah, that's one shots. Obviously not the same for a campaign.
Right, exactly.
Not really the same for a campaign. You don't want your character to be gimmicky. You don't really want them to be a caricature, because you will have a chance to kind of explore areas of development that you wouldn't in a one shot. So what do you think, Dennis? Like, what's a really good way to approach creating a character for a campaign?
For an entire campaign, I think it's the opposite of what I said for one shots. You want to, at least for me, I run really story focused, really narrative campaigns. So you'd want to have like a fleshed out backstory, because my favorite part about running a campaign is taking everyone's backstories and just winding them all up into the same main plot to make sure everyone is still invested the whole time. And
I love that. I do that too. I love that.
it doesn't apply to every campaign though, because I've also played in campaigns that are pure like dungeon crawl hack and slash, where there's not really a whole lot of social aspect between the characters, and there's no, like, there might be an overarching plot, get to the end of the dungeon and beat the boss at the bottom. If you're playing a game like that, then putting effort into your backstory wouldn't really be well rewarded. At that point, sure. If I'm making a character for one of those campaigns, I will start with the mechanics. Like, I want to play this class, or I want to play a character that can do this specific combo in combat, or something like that, and just build them around that. And then aesthetics and backstory are secondary.
That's a great point. So start with asking your DM, your GM, what kind of campaign is it? Is it a hack and slash? Is it just like pure dungeon crawl, or is it more narrative and more story driven? I'm actually kind of obsessed with the idea of mega dungeons right now. Like I realized that like my idea for a mega dungeon is really just like a normal dungeon for like the OSR folks. Cause I'm thinking like, oh yeah, like 3 to 5 sessions of like pure dungeon crawl. And that to me is a mega dungeon. But I think for a lot of people who are like, who are familiar with the older editions of D&D, they're like, no, that's just like a normal dungeon.
Yeah, that's how all the modules were written in the 70s and 80s. Right. Like every single one was just a long dungeon.
So I'm like a little bit intimidated to even like talk about it out loud, because I know that people are gonna be like, I don't think you know what a mega dungeon is. But anyway, that's my current obsession, because I have not actually run that second kind of campaign that you've mentioned, and it would be something new for me. I've never run something that is pure tactics and strategy from start to finish. And I feel like a mega dungeon would allow me that in the current game I'm playing. And that's kind of really why I'm thinking about it, not because like as a concept it's like whatever, but because I really want to check out that style of running game. So I've never done that before. So
I honestly haven't done like a true mega dungeon either. I've done a couple of like old modules, but I haven't done any where it's, you know, combat, take a short rest in this room and block the door and hope nothing shows up. Yeah. Hope no wandering monsters break in, you know?
Exactly. Do you have a favorite of the old ones that you've run?
I actually have only ever run one module, and I don't remember exactly what it was because it was like 8 years ago.
Sure.
And it was the first game that I ever ran, and my whole world has just been, my homebrew world that I run all of my campaigns in has just expanded from there.
That's so
from
cool.
That one pre-made city, and now that pre-made city just doesn't exist anymore in my world.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Is there a narrative reason it doesn't exist, or like it just doesn't exist?
I wish there was a narrative reason, but honestly,
Sure.
I'm just like, this city's boring in comparison to everything that I've made, and I don't really know it that well. So
Sure, fair enough, fair enough.
I
No,
just
I
said
love
delete.
that. I love that. That's awesome. Oh yeah, I'm kind of with you. Like I feel like for a campaign, um and here's the thing as well. Like I do want some kind of backstory. I want some kind of like, why are you here in this moment? Like, why did you leave home? Like, that's the most important part for me. What I'm finding myself shying away from is the tragic backstory. Like, for myself. Um, when I am playing a character, I'm trying really hard to not be like, oh, my parents died and I was left all alone in the world and I'm out here making like the best of life because I have to take care of myself. Like, no, I have like a whole ass family and we spend the holidays together
Right.
and like,
Yeah. I mean,
you know
like
what?
even in um forget which book it is. I think it's Xanathar's Guide to Everything. There's that list of backstory tables that you can
Oh,
roll on. And it's like,
yes.
do you know what happened? Do you know your parents? And it's like a 5% chance that you don't. And like, are they alive or dead if you do know them? And it's another 5% chance that they're both dead. And like,
I
that's
completely
the
forgot
classic
about
rogue
that.
backstory: is my parents are dead, I never knew them, I grew up a loner, everyone hates me.
Yes, yes. So
And like,
I
that's not how most worlds go. Like, maybe
and
you'll have, like, if you read those fantasy novels,
yeah,
maybe there'll be like one character like that actually has their
for
dead parents,
sure,
and usually they end up
for
being the
sure.
protagonist.
Yeah,
So that's why a lot of
yeah.
people are attracted to those tragic backstories, I think.
But I mean, the thing with not having a tragic backstory is not just like doing something different from the norm, but like it gives you a chance to be affected really strongly by something that happens in the game. Like, if you show up traumatized, there's only ever so much that, like, stuff in the game can affect you. If you
Right.
show up, like, bright and fresh and naive, and then, like, everything can really mess with you because, like, this is your first time experiencing this kind of grief and this kind of loss and this kind of pain and, like, whatever else. I'm convinced it opens up avenues to character exploration that may not exist otherwise. I don't know if it's
Exactly.
true or not, but that's my current theory.
I totally agree with that. You know, there's a lot of, like, one of my characters, or one of my players, is a fan of like not writing his backstories and letting them come out in the actual
Oh, that's
plot.
cool.
So because he doesn't want to make up a story that he doesn't like feel connected to, and he feels like it's a lot more, he gets more invested if he experienced them in a session.
That's so interesting. That's so interesting. I have found that backstories kind of impact how a character interacts with the world. Like, how does it? I'm assuming that doesn't really have a place with your player. Like your player kind of just like figures out who his character is through play, rather
Mhm.
than comes. That's awesome, man. That's so interesting. That's super cool. Sorry, my cat's in the back, like kind of
Mine
losing her
too is
shit.
trying to get out of the room right now.
I don't feel so bad then. Okay, awesome. So, this has been great, and I really want to keep talking about this one. I realize that like we have to keep the videos to a watchable time,
Right, right.
or whatever. But like, I want to bring this home because I feel like this third thing is probably not one that gets talked about a lot in character creation, but may happen more than you realize. Is that and it might even happen because of your character having died. Like you're re-entering the party with like a new character. And the thing is, like, when you all made your characters to start, like you all were at session 0 together, you spoke to the GM and you all kind of figured out like what roles you wanted to play, and then you kind of developed that through play. Something happened and either there's a new role that's opened up in the party, or like one of the players is no longer, one of the characters is no longer there. uh what specific things should be kept in mind when you're entering a story that's already in progress?
I've had a lot of players that needed to do this, either because a new person is joining the campaign for whatever reason, or a player's character did die and they didn't want to like Deus Ex Machina reanimate the Hand of God sort of thing.
Sure.
They wanted to like let that story stay, they wanted that character to stay dead because it was a complete story. But for the new character coming in, you have to be careful not to make them too unique from the story that's already being played. I like working closely, like really closely, with players that are joining a campaign, or a player that's remaking or making a new character for the campaign, to make sure that their backstory lines up with the main plot that's already been going for however long, months,
Very
years.
cool. Very cool.
And there's a big opportunity that I've used several times here, where you don't necessarily have to be the one as the DM to give the players, the next plot hook, the next piece of information that they're missing to solve the mystery. You can make that a part of the other player's backstory, and eventually they'll realize that this is important, or they will come into their first new session or first session with the new player or the new character, and they will have that piece of information, and immediately that will be the new plot hook. We need to go to this location next.
I love that. I love that. I haven't had I haven't had that happen a lot for me. I've had a couple of I've only had it happen a few times, and I really wish I had approached it with the same intention that you had, because I really didn't know, like, I didn't know what I needed to do. I just
Yeah, I
knew
mean,
that
I
there
didn't
was
either for the first couple.
and I think that's where I am. And now that I've had my first couple, and next time it happens, now I know to be purposeful about it and work with them the way that you've mentioned, because like I didn't before. I was like, and I'm thankfully, like, my group is good enough and like chill enough that it wasn't difficult to like integrate them into the story. But if I had approached it with a little bit more intention, I think it would have gone better. The last time it happened, I made the character be like a tour guide of the town that they were going to be in, but I think I would have liked to have actually included a plot hook for the players to engage with this person a little bit more, because like tour guides, you can kind of take it or leave it, you know what I mean? And I was,
Yeah.
I think, relying on the goodness of my players to engage with this character, which they did. But like, as the DM, like, I should have done more, I feel like. And now that I know, next time I'm gonna try and do more. So yeah, we'll see.
Whenever I have a problem really in a game, like especially when a new character or anything new or different is happening in the story, since I run a story focused game, my first question is, okay, how can I make this change, make the story better? Like, what would, like, as like from a writing perspective, if I was writing this as a novel and I needed to put a new character in here, who would they be? What would they want to do?
Yeah, I think that's the approach I need to take for the next time. Hopefully, there won't be a next time, but there might be.
No, of course there's going to be a next time. Too bad PTs die. You know, I was
That's
hoping
true.
that we would go into this conversation having because last session we just ended a big story arc and they killed Baphomet, the Horned King, in
What
like
the
the middle of a
hell?
city. I thought one of them was gonna die, but no, they did great, and I have nothing to talk about here now.
That's so cool though. That's a cool ending to a story arc.
It was a good time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Is that like the end of that story arc, or is that
Of the
sort of a
story arc,
midpoint?
yes, because they killed the Horned King, but the city was still overrun by demons and they had to flee. So
Oh,
they got
that's
a
cool as
bad
shit,
ending, and
man.
now they have to go fix it.
Amazing. That's like classic D&D. Like
It
we
really
fucked
is.
it up so badly. We're the only ones that can fix it. That's classic D&D. I'm pretty sure that's the plot of the new D&D movie.
I hope so.
Actually,
It has to
is
be something that has been
yeah.
done thousands of
We
times.
fucked it up, and we're the only ones that can fix it because we fucked it up so badly.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's so that's all I had today. Succinct and direct and wonderful, which is really like all of your videos. They're concise and they're informative, and
I try.
I'd like to think I was able to honor that with you here today, because that's like one of my favorite things about your videos, man. Like they're
We'll just edit
under
it down. We'll cut out more than half of
yeah,
it. It'll be fine.
it's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome. But yeah, that's I'm gonna go because my cat's like just real upset with me for not paying attention to her. So but thanks, Dennis. Thank you for being here, and thank you for
It was
talking
an
to me.
honor to be here.
Yeah,
Real
thank
excited to see
you.
the end product.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Bye. And thank you
Bye.
everybody for watching. Definitely check out Dennis's video. I'll link it down below. Bye everyone.